Hi, this is Chris Schroeder. Welcome back to the ACCO Legislative Update. Today we have Bill Case with us, ACCO's legislative liaison that many of you are familiar with. Today we're going to do a little bit of wrap-up of the session and just kind of go over some of the bills and the budget that passed. Bill, why don't we start by just giving a little overview of the session and how it went?
I'd be pleased to, Director Schroeder. And thank you so much for allowing me to participate today. I've watched you week after week, and I'm glad to be a part of it today to give an overview. And this session, I'd have to say, things started off pretty tense. We had the Senate come out with their agenda, and the House came out with their agenda. The governor gave his state of the state, and it wasn't long after that the House and the Senate, they basically had disagreements about what legislation is going to be heard this year and what policy bills were going to take place. So started off kind of tense, Chris, and we, as far as ACCO goes, I was tracking legislation for ACCO this year, and the legislature, between last year and this year, they filed over 5,500 bills. So we had quite a bit to track, to look at. We basically started in February with about 200 plus bills to review that impacted the county commissioners' lives. And with that, we've pared it down at the end of the day. Here in May, we've got about 21 bills that we were able to get signed across the finish line that ended up being a pretty good session for policy and for appropriations for the counties.
Yeah, it was a good session for ACCO bills. We're going to touch on a couple of specific bills here, but like Bill said, 5,500 bills starting session. So you got to think about 10% of these bills typically go through the whole process and get passed into law. So ACCO had a very good session and success in passing their bills. Let's talk about a couple of those bills. First, maybe House Bill 3740 that deals with engineering limits on road and bridge projects. Maybe talk about that bill a little bit.
Yes, thanks. That was a very important bill. The ACCO Legislative Committee reviewed some ideas, and this bill was brought forth. I'm trying to remember the County Commissioner DeLozier from Rogers County brought this up. And basically, we had when you look at the road and bridge projects and the cost that goes along with that, it's been 10 years since they raised the limits on projects that required engineering, and so we wanted to make a modification. Commissioner DeLozier asked if we could double that, and so we went to the legislature and requested that. And Director Schroeder, we were able to increase raise the cap on those road projects from 400,000 to 800,000, and we were able to raise the bridge projects from 150,000 to 300,000 before we need engineering plans. So it's just the cost of construction that has elevated these numbers, and the legislature agreed with us and moved the bill on to the governor.
Yeah, and another bill I'll touch on a little bit is House Bill 3344. This was a bill filed out of Cleveland County, and Commissioner Rod Cleveland and Jacob McHughes worked hard on this bill this session. But this bill adds a new section to the law, and it allows repairs on equipment up to $30,000 without going out for a bid. Now, this is heavy equipment, which would be 10,000 pounds or more. So this is a new section of law that should help commissioners in that process. Also, a big part of this bill was it raised the inventory limit from $500 to $2,500. I think this will be very helpful to the counties with the price of goods and everything else. Raising that limit to $2,500 should be very helpful. The last bill we'll touch on is House Bill 3045 that deals with surplusing. Bill, why don't you describe that one for us?
Yes, thank you, Director. This bill was requested by Commissioner Cabot out of Payne County. And one of the issues that the counties have been having is when two county commissioners are running for office, there is a prohibition against surplusing equipment. And so the counties realized a lot of inefficiencies during this period of time. So with that, this bill would make the change to where if in fact two county commissioners were running at the same time for re-election, then the Board of County Commissioners could then surplus equipment for the other county departments. So basically allows efficiencies for counties, and we were able to get that bill across the finish line.
Yeah, that's a bill we've been needing to get done for a long time, so happy to finally kind of see that one through. Now let's kind of spin to the budget. This is always the most exciting time of session. We get to the middle of May or 1st of May, and a lot of these details start coming out, and typically the last couple of weeks is when most of these budget bills come through. Bill, kind of touch on, Senate Bill 1040 was the main budget bill this year with several other trailer bills, but maybe touch on the budget process and how that went this session.
Yes, be happy to. Senate Bill 1040 was your general appropriation bill this year. That legislation, basically, they worked on it for about a year. So it was a pretty comprehensive budget, in my opinion, that made it to the governor's desk. This GA bill, I believe the number was $9.8 billion. That is the most they've ever appropriated, and but it took care of a lot of need across the state, which it also would include transportation. But kind of an interesting note about that is that the governor decided not to sign that bill and just let it go into law without him signing it. He had some issues with it that he felt like there wasn't enough tax relief, and there was probably some areas that he was concerned about. But he did line item some portions of Senate Bill 1040, but also I think he vetoed 10 other bills that dealt with appropriations as well. But anyway, it ended up being a pretty good budget for the House and the Senate, and the governor at this point in time, I think he's decided to call him back into special session to talk about tax relief. So before I leave that though, Director, one of the bills that were so important to the county commissioners was brought up by the ACCO Legislative Committee was House Bill 4459. And 4459 was the bill that would raise the cap on our CERB program. And but I want to give a shout out to a couple legislators. The ACCO committee, the legislative committee came forth and wanted to raise the cap or remove the cap on the program. And what happened is that we filed some bills, and Representative Miller, she filed a bill to raise the cap, and Senator Allen filed a bill to raise the cap. And at the end of the day, those bills both got a hearing, which was our plan and our strategy, and it worked out very well. At the end of the day, those bills went away, and 4459 came forth and got across the finish line, and we were successful in raising our cap from 120 million a year to 150 million a year.
Yeah, that was a huge bill, and many of you may not know the history, but the cap was originally put in 2015 at 120 million. So this is the first time since the cap was originally put on that it has been raised. Now it'll be raised in 5 million increments over the next several years, but this is a huge step in getting the cap raised. And the legislature has really been county friendly the last several years. They've, I think the last 3 years they put 50 million into the CERB fund of just cash, and then this year raising that cap to help get some of that money back. So the legislature has been very friendly. Thank them, and we definitely want to thank all our commissioners. You put a lot of time in talking to your legislators, and it paid off. Bill, one thing you said is you mentioned special session. That's kind of become a little bit of a common word out there lately, and it's honestly a little bit confusing. It's hard to follow even for us, but if you're really not paying attention, it can be real confusing. So maybe explain what's going on with the special sessions and how that all works.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. You are correct. Special session is special this time. A little history on that. Back in the 58th legislature, which is currently meeting, back in 2021, they called themselves, or the governor called them into special session to deal with redistricting. As you recall, the House, Senate, and congressional district lines need to be drawn, and there was delays in the federal census. And so we had to have a special session called to deal with that. Now here in May, at the end of session in 2022, the legislature decided on their own to call themselves back into special session. So they convened special session in May, and that will continue on through the summer and into the fall possibly. And they're going to talk about the use of ARPA funds for their special session and some other economic development ideas and projects as well. Well, during the budget process, the legislature passed the budget. They sent it to the governor's desk. The governor would not sign the bill into law. So at that point, the governor decided on his own to call a third special session. All here happened in May. So the governor is going to ask the legislature to come back June the 13th and have a special session to talk about tax relief. He felt the legislature did not have enough tax relief in their package, in their budget for the citizens of Oklahoma, and he wants to talk about more tax relief for the citizens. So we've had 3 special sessions. 2 of them are active right now, and there's more to come and more to report on that. And that, I hope I explained that, but it is tough to follow.
Yeah, it can be confusing, but we'll continue to stay on top of that through the summer and even the fall till those are wrapped up. But overall, I want to thank everyone. We had a great session. Bill did a great job out there. Commissioners, can't thank you enough. Our legislative committee, I think they need to be recognized. They've brought forward a lot of these bills, a lot of relevant bills that can be meaningful for county. So I think it's one of the better sessions we've had in quite a while. So thank you to that committee, the ACCO board, and everyone for doing their part. That's all we have. Bill will continue, and he'll follow up with an email, kind of an update, and attachments that include a lot more bills than just the few we discussed here. So we will follow up with that with a kind of a final wrap up. So that's all we have for this session. Thanks for watching the ACCO Legislative Update.